I forgot to do the intro now. Whoopsie. Kind of useless. Hi, guys. I am Alex Mac, known as Mac Daddy, and I'm super psyched to be here hosting tonight's episode of Schmoebates. And you have some pretty spectacular people here, pun intended. See what I did there? But yeah, we have some pretty amazing people here today for tonight's Schmoebates. So I have down below right here is my pretty awesome husband. Hey, babe. How you doing?
Pretty good. Should I introduce myself? Are you gonna do it or?
Well, yeah. I was like, tell us about yourself. Like, you've never been on anything C2A call to action related or anything like that. So
I mean, I'm normally in the chat, just running my mouth incessantly, but
you're always running your mouth. So
no, I didn't really pay attention to Schmoedown until when was New York 2? When was it?
August. Late August.
Late August, yeah.
How many episodes have you seen total of Schmoedown? You've seen every single episode.
I've now seen all of them. I don't know what to do with my time anymore. I'm watching Star Wars now, but yeah.
It's almost like 500 episodes or something ridiculous like that, isn't it?
Yeah, it took a while, but it's not about me. It's about our special guests here today.
Absolutely. Well, for sure. Okay, moving on to our amazing competitors today. For the first time ever, we're hosting, over here, Mr. James Spence. How you doing, boy?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for saying I'm special. Lucas blinked 3 times if she's holding you hostage. I can't wait to lose today to someone who has a lot more experience in this than I do.
Well, you're making me a little regretful that I'm inviting you on here, dude. Come on now.
Most people regret being with me.
And what about you, Brooklyn?
I'm excited. I'm always down for debate. I run Nerdgasm over in Multiplex, which is like our inner geekdom debate, and then I also did one with Jukebox Trivia with Jukebox Dance-Off, so that was music debate. So I think just debate sort of in naturally ingrained into my system. I've been devoting a lot of my time into sort of the fan league neck of the woods with Multiplex and Take 3, and I used to do some stuff with Full Metal. But it's always good to see the new branches of the community sort of form, and Call to Action has been doing some pretty cool things. So glad to be on.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on again. I know you're definitely a pillar within the debating community here on YouTube, and especially around Schmoedown in general. So Brooklyn, the Black Lantern, Vale, pretty psyched to have you on and see what's up. Yeah, we've been hearing some good things about your debate skills. And same with Spence. You're quite the talker yourself, and I know you've convinced me of a few things. So I'm pretty excited to have you on today competing against each other. And awesome. Okay, let's kind of get to it. Now, I just want to go over the format a little bit of what we're going to be doing here on Schmoebates. Okay, and we have actually... for Schmoebates, we start off with an opening statement. We have a 4-minute debate as well as a closing statement. Both opening statement and closing statement are 60 seconds, and the debate itself is 4 minutes long. It's timed. We make sure you're on top of it, so it's all good. And Lucas, I know you're my guest host today specifically. Would you do the honor and keeping time and kind of letting our competitors know when they have like 30 seconds left?
I guess I can do that. Hold on.
Don't be too excited now.
Huh? Who?
Huh? All right. But also, if you are watching this, please open up your Facebook page. Please be able to actually be able to vote for who do you think for each debate is going to be the winner. So, yeah, if you don't debate for the match, does it count? Not really. So definitely be ready to vote for your favorite for sure. Now, although this is a very heel-driven podcast, Spence, more than anything, my fellow C2A man in honor. We definitely are trying not to involve our personal favorites. We're all about the family and guy and action and all that good stuff, but we're not going to allow our personal favorites get the best of us when it comes to the debates. We definitely want to be Spence. I see what you're doing up there. But we definitely don't want that to be, really drive, the forces behind who wins these matches. Okay. Now, our competitors have given us their answers, and our questions are very focused on spectacular. So, yes, I'm psyched. Brooklyn, Spence, you ready? Okay.
Sure.
Don't get too excited.
We're going to need a woo from both competitors before we can begin.
Woo.
Woo.
Wow.
That's
Woo.
spot on.
Wee-oo.
Perfect. Okay. All right. We also have some Wiley Todd saying, everyone's saying hi. Danny saying hi, hey to Brooklyn. Cool. Okay. Hey, me. Not surprised. All right.
I get that. Good. You guys are missing a massive inside joke. If you go to Cool in the Gang, and you'll find a very funny inside joke.
Oh, is that Mr. Kenneth Lee?
That Kenneth Lee equals Brooklyn Vale.
Okay,
Yeah, there you go.
I'm still behind a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's a massive conspiracy theory that I am two people at once. So
Dun, dun, dun.
sometimes.
All right. Okay. Well, let's just go ahead and dive into the first question. Lucas, since you are our guest host today, would you do the honor of reading our question? First question?
I can do that. Hold on. I had it written down somewhere.
If not, I can actually read it. It's all good. You can read the second one. Okay. For question. Oh, sorry.
It turns out whenever you leave StreamYard, it wipes out everything you had in the private chat. That's a fun fact.
It's a good thing we have banners now.
Exactly.
I'll read a banner if you throw one up.
Okay. Well, there you go.
All right. What current team that has not been in a live event would give the best performance at a live show?
Now, taking that down. We're going to start with you, Spence, for question number 1. You got 60 seconds on the clock for your opening statement. And go.
Oh, wow. No warning. Okay, great. So, you know what really makes a great live event? A comeback story. You know, you have Wildberries versus Real Reject, who are off on a 2-game losing streak. You have Kalinowski versus Rachel Cushing 3, where he just keeps losing until he wins. You know, it's a great comeback story. A team who's 0-2 suddenly getting the greatest game of their lives. And also featuring the greatest trivia answer, the face of whey protein, on the live stage. You know, we should get a live event? The Movie Guys. And yeah, sure, after the draft, maybe Paul Preston finds a new teammate, which should not happen. This is an incredibly motivating and powerful and just all around just one group of people that you just want to see live in person doing the regular shtick, but on a big stage in your faces. Movie Guys.
All right. You done?
Yeah.
All right. 10 seconds to spare. I plugged in an hour instead of 1 minute. So
I can just get it going if you need it.
Lucas.
That is why you did not get a 30-second warning, because I did not catch that until
1987.
That was 84 years ago.
And we just want to confirm that, we do actually, Lucas is alive and well. Lucas exists. Yes, he does exist. Dwayne is hopping in. Hey, Dwayne, haven't seen you in a while. Can't wait to see you this weekend. Yeah. But
Lucas,
also,
are you Kenneth Lee?
What's it?
Are you Kenneth Lee?
Of course.
Myth is finally busted.
Whammy. And more importantly, when we talk about Lucas, his better known title is as Ben's best friend. There you go. Everyone needs to know that. No big deal. Just a little humble brag.
I like the original Five Horsemen 5, where they couldn't figure out which way they wanted it to face. So I like
Oh god, you're the mic just be kicked from the show quick.
Okay. And before we leave today, Brian has a fantastic news for everyone. Please hold up, Brian, until the end of the episode. And we got some fun stuff coming. Okay. Now, Brooklyn, let's hear your argument. You have 60 seconds on the clock with your opening statement. Lucas, you ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. Live events are usually deemed for the top tier teams, and for those teams, you need 2 aspects. You need great character work and great stage presence, as well as great trivia play regardless, and no team does that better than the Paddington 2. Paddington 2 are made up of Alonso Duralde and Matt Atchity. Matt Atchity being part of the team of Rotten Tomatoes, who are essentially were a challenge away from beating the Patriots in full on character. And if they can beat if they have that potential to beat juggernauts like the Patriots, they could definitely apply that to the live stage. I think they would be able to fill the room and whatnot, and they could easily play off either a face or a heel, which is what I believe my opponent's team cannot do.
3, 2, 1. All right. Easy enough. Shut up.
Oh.
There we go.
Now, we definitely heard our opening statements, and Spence, some things I kind of heard from you in particular is that you really emphasize that the movie guys are the underdogs. They're really putting together these really big characters, and they're no stranger to performing in front of a crowd, so to speak. Lucas, what were some of your takeaways for Brooklyn?
Brooklyn, he's talking about how they have a kind of a great character, which I agree. I like both those guys. They're pretty good, especially given recent events. But and yeah, it comes up time and time again, and that they are sort of industry giants too. They have this depth of knowledge. They are going up against juggernauts, and that's the notes I had written down.
Yes, well, something I thought was kind of interesting too is this idea of, Spence, you mentioned having, obviously, like I said, the underdog story kind of thing, but also Brooklyn, you really focus on they're much more of an established team. They've been around for more than a season. So, definitely different angles going into the actual debate itself.
Fact check, they weren't. You're thinking about when he was on MODOK against the Patriots, not Paddington 2.
Well, then correct me in the actual.
And I did reference that in my opening statement that wasn't part of Paddington 2. That was part of the Rotten Tomatoes / MODOK team.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, you're fired.
I am fired. Clearly. Okay. Well, regardless, we're going to go into our debate specifically. Like I mentioned, feel free to interrupt each other every once in a while. Don't obviously talk over each other completely, but we want to hear everything you've got. And we want to hear you guys beat each other to the pulp with words. Let's do it. You got 4 minutes on the clock.
I'm gonna give warnings at 2 minutes, 1 minute, and 30 seconds, and then I'll do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cool. I've decided that's how I'm gonna count down this time. I like to mix it up every time. Gotta keep you guys on edge. It's a professional operation here.
What is C2A if not always staying on edge? Let's be honest.
Yeah, assholes.
Yeah, I stand by it. All right. You guys ready? Let's do it.
All right, so let's go over the movie guys in general. The underdog story is kind of interesting, but what we've seen through various underdog matches, and you look at underdogs even in the fandoms in general, luck has to be on their side. You look at something like Josh McCouga versus what was Mark Andreyko, but was posing as Finstock. That's another underdog story, but that is some luck in your favor where there isn't this sort of natural presence. What you get with Paddington 2, you get you could have them play during different times of the year and it'll work out so well. Like if they're playing this weekend at Spectacular for some forgotten reason, they could enter with Christmas. They could have Alonso Duralde come in as Santa Claus, throwing out candy canes, and it'd be great. If it was in the summer, Christmas in July. Who doesn't love Christmas in July? You could have this reunion with what the flick. You could have Gray Drake. You could have Bibbs come in or Winnie Seibold have this sort of reunion. And what Paddington 2 really thrives in with what the movie guys doesn't do is entrances. And I think they would maximize their potential with that audience.
So what you just said was entirely wrong. Paddington 2 is a one-time gimmick. Everything you mentioned was, ooh, look at them. They celebrate a single holiday, which is a single nationality, single religion, all of that. Meanwhile, movie guys, specifically Paul Preston in his singles appearances, he is crushing in the entrances. Let's not forget that he cut one of the greatest promos of the entire tournament season with singing Kill the Beast from Beauty and the Beast for Shazam. And you brought up luck. The movie guys have had terrible luck, not in the way they answer questions, but in their opponents. They had the second greatest performance in the entirety of the first round of the teams tournament against Shazam, who were the best performance. They can crush anyone they go up against. The only reason they're an underdog story is their record. They come in and think, oh, let's put them against anybody else in the division, and they can beat 90% of them. Adam Witt had a bad first showing and had a killer second showing, near perfect game. Paul Preston consistently throws near perfect games, and that's what makes this entertaining. Competitors who you want to watch because you know they're going to crush it. The first New York Live event, Dan Murrell versus Ethan Irwin. You know why that was a great match? Because each player threw nearly a perfect game, and that's what you'll get with the movie guys. Paddington 2, as we saw in both their matches, Matt Ashby is sort of slacking in round 1, and round 2, they really need to go slice hunting to perform well.
Two things that are wrong, that are incorrect with what you proceeded. The movie guys are 0-2. So if you're going to put them up with another like A tiers, maybe a high B tier team, that's honestly poor matchmaking. Because what happens if the movie guys go 0-3? What if it's another bad luck match? If you're in the mind of Christian Harloff, you are going to give them a lower tier team, maybe like an only stupid answers, maybe a late to the party, where you essentially want to give them that win. Yes, it would be okay to give them another top tier match, but you don't want to risk a high potential team going 0-3. And yeah, Paul Preston would be cool for a live event, but what about that other guy? Does anybody even really sort of know his name?
Adam Witt. I just said it.
He deserves more. Paul Preston is really sort of carrying the work in terms of character and like even you said trivia performance. Whereas with Alonzo and Matt, they do have that balance. Matt being one of the first people to get a perfect round 1 in the Schmoedown League in its entirety. They fill each other out so well, and they can adapt with either a face team or a heel team. Whereas with the movie guys, they really sort of thrive as sort of a heel, and I don't know, they can't really do as well against
Can't do that
faces.
3, 2, 1.
That was a fast 4 minutes. I had so much more to say. God damn it.
Well,
You have
can't
a
wait to
closing
hear that closing statement.
No, sometimes people skip the closing statements around here. I don't want to name any names.
Yeah,
I don't know
wanna
what
be
you're
smarter
talking
and say
about. I'm a perfect coach at all times. I'm a perfect debater, babe. That.
it. You're a master debater.
Jesus. What?
How
Okay.
rude.
So, rude. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of points that were thrown. Wham. Paddington 2 and movie guys. I really would, after hearing these arguments, actually really would love to see both of them. What do you think, Lucas?
I liked when Spence said that everything Brooklyn said was wrong, but then Brooklyn, I wish he came back stronger. He only said that 2 of the things Spence said were wrong. But no, they had a lot of good points out there talking about kind of Brooklyn was making a point about matchups and who exactly would you put the movie guys up against, and then hold on, let me read here. Kind of talking. Spence raised a couple good points about like Atchity, he's kind of his round 1 performance, and raised some concerns about the Christmas shtick happening year round, but I really do like both of these teams. So
I know when you left your Schmoedown marathon, just I feel like a few days ago, you really talked about how much you enjoyed both these teams. So you were really excited about both of them in particular. Something you really kind of mentioned is that, Brooklyn, Paddington 2, you can really, even though it's technically more of a seasonal team title and a seasonal focus, with like Christmas in July and Christmas stuff, you can really apply it year round. But also, Spence, you really kind of counteracted that by mentioning, it's really more of a one-time gimmick that can't actually, be done successfully year round. So I thought that really counteracted each other pretty well. But also you really kind of focused Brooklyn on more of the records. Technically, Paddington 2 does have a much better record than the movie guys. The movie guys have technically, I think, an 0-2 record. I feel like I read that wrong. Yeah, 0-2. Yeah. So with it being a live event, maybe the stakes wouldn't be so high. Maybe as a result, it wouldn't feel as exciting. but you kind of mentioned specifically Paddington 2. Also, they don't have as big of characters. They are more bigger as far as like characters in social media and all that good stuff in Hollywood in general. But in terms of personalities on here, they're not throwing the whey protein stuff and all that, everything. So there was a lot of arguments that said on both angles. So it's really just all about what we think our fans or our listeners, our watchers are thinking here. Okay. Now, before we go to our closing statements, just want to let you know, guys, anyone watching this, we do want you to wait until after the closing statements to make your vote. And again, if you have any final points you want to make, you need to do it now because you have 60 seconds on the clock for each of your closing statements.
Well, right now you have 4 minutes on the clock, but let me adjust that. All right. I'm ready.
60 seconds? All right. Go ahead, Spence.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you 2 opponents. You have Self-Righteous Brothers and you have the Loose Cannons, both of which would be incredible matches and incredible wins for the movie guys. They are that dominant. Paul Preston can command a stadium. He already sells out stadiums doing his own movie trivia exhibitions with the entire movie guys channel. Paddington 2 can't do that. They can barely fill a room. They walk in and have maybe 2 fans in the audience. They're nothing. They cannot fill a 1,000-seat stadium full of Rabbids Throwdown fans. They aren't worthy of a live event. They may be good competitors, but you know who's better? The movie guys. They can be anyone you put them up against. They're interesting. They command entrances. They will destroy anything you put in their path. As well as, they're fun guys. Talk about who fans want to meet. They don't want to meet someone who wrote a book about movies that he spent way too much time on and who's addicted to Hallmark movies. They want to see the movie guys and the face of whey protein. Your guys are just a ripoff of a movie that's not even as good as the original.
Hey!
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right.
Alex, do you like the movie?
What?
You yelled at me. I wasn't sure over what.
Yeah, why'd you yell at him? That was mid-argument. How dare you?
I just like yelling at people in general. Everyone here knows it. Let's be honest.
Shit.
Okay, now we're going to go into the closing statement for you, Brooklyn. You do have 60 seconds on the clock.
Yes,
and we'll get you all set up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, all right. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. So while my opponent tries to offer these B tier teams and teams that don't really mesh up well personality wise and promo wise, he once again relies on Paul Preston carrying that team both character wise and performance wise. What the movie guys offer is essentially a second grade version of what Schmoes know top 10 the Patriots have offered previously. Paddington 2 is essentially what I like to call a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Combinations of two opposites really coming together and really encapsulating that room. Sure, they are more well known for film critics, but think about how they could get that crowd roaring. Sure, Christmas might be a one holiday thing, but it's one of the biggest holidays especially in North American culture.
10.
They can blend well with any team, and you could essentially pair them up with anybody. A top tier team or low tier team.
4,
they will take
3.
cream and turn it into butter.
All right. Peanut butter.
You will learn very quickly that I make a lot of food references.
PB&J, cream into butter. I'm all about it. Okay, so let's just go ahead and head over to some of the comments just a little bit. And Brian, yes, I'm aware of the closing statements. Lucas loves to remind me.
Brian is a friend of the show. He tries to keep the Schmoebates in line.
I'm sorry, Alonzo. I love you. Don't feel hurt by what I said.
Okay, so, and yes, thank you, Kelsey. I appreciate it. Okay, but yes, okay, now I'm going to also include a link in the chat right now, just so you guys can please just make it a little bit easier to kind of directly head over to the page and make your vote. Who do you think, personal bias aside, deserves to be at, I'm going to put it up here, what current team who has not been in a live event would give the best performance at a live show? with these arguments in mind, please make your vote. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to our second question that Brooklyn's going to start us out with. And
do we not weigh in?
I'm sorry?
Do we not weigh in?
I thought we pretty much already weighed in pretty well.
But you didn't give your who you thought would win.
Oh,
I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping I would that way because it's so hard. It was like legit hard. I thought it was gonna be like really easy, but it wasn't. Oh god. Okay, so reading through it, honestly, based off everything I heard, really kind of focusing on use of big crowds, strong, how they're such a strong team, regardless of the record, like you were saying. But you also, Brooklyn, you kind of counteracted that, just reaffirming that their record is, regardless of how good the match is, their record is not good. Anyway. But you also kind of mentioning how Preston hypothetically could be carrying the team. And also, it's their Paddington 2 are, even though they're not more character driven team as so much of movie guys, but at the same time, they're bigger personalities within, the movie world in general, therefore could fill up an audience that way. So it's two very different approaches. But with that in mind, I personally would vote in favor of the movie guys. That's just my personal opinion. Just going through this. But yeah, I mean, I felt like he definitely was able to kind of balance out a lot of the points that you made, Brooklyn in particular. So, but let's see what happens. What about you, Lucas?
So, just I'm fully apprised of the situation here. So how does the victory get decided? So I vote, you vote, and the poll votes. So how does that all shake out as far as?
We honestly don't matter. The only people that really matter.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't matter. We're kind of voting just our opinions on who we think we would hypothetically would vote for James and Brooklyn, but our votes personally don't matter.
Okay.
It's only the people that vote, they matter, and we're gonna review the votes after the second question, and really kind of determine whether or not we need a tiebreaker or not.
Okay.
But what were your thoughts regarding the closing statements and the debate overall?
I kind of I'm kind of leaning in the same direction you are. What kind of pushed me that way is the existing audience that the movie guys have, but I think it's kind of a matter of just where these guys are as far as what they're trying to do in their careers right now. I think for sure Paddington 2 could build that audience up if they were given the time and they had that inclination, but they have a different focus really. But for the time being, looking at these teams as they exist now, looking at the current situation, I have to lean towards movie guys. But again, my vote doesn't matter.
I think your vote matters, Alex or Lucas. I can't speak today.
Well, like I mentioned, this was just our first debate. And, like I mentioned, it doesn't matter. I mean, regardless of how we feel, our voters, they're the ones that matter. So, again, please go over there, head over there, and please vote. Make your thoughts known and let us know who do you think won this individual match. And so with that in mind, we are going to be moving on to our second question, and we'll take it from there. So I'm going to go and pull it up. And I know, Lucas, you read the question last time, so I'll read question number 2 this time.
I mean, I can read the question. I'm better at that than I am at working the timer.
Well, in that case, please do read the question.
I mean, I don't want to intrude, though. So, but all right. So the second question is, what is the all-time best match that we've ever seen at a spectacular? We've got, 3 now to pick from? So,
yeah.
There's a lot of individual matches. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, we got 60 seconds on the clock, and I can actually do it this time around.
Sweet.
Okay, 60 seconds. And we're going to start with you, Brooklyn, since, Spence was able to do it last time. You're going to be starting with the opening statements as well as the closing statements as well. So you got 60 seconds on the clock, and I'll let you know when you have 30, 10, and 5. Okay?
All right. Judges, esteemed members of the chat, let me paint you a picture. Spectacular 2. We go into the Star Wars division, a division that has potential to go stale with the amount of movies it's asking. So they decided to change things up a little bit. Ken Natsuck versus Sam Witwer in the first ever Iron Man match, a very high risk, high reward match, and boy was it ever high reward. This has the great back and forth that you love in each match.
30 seconds.
One of the greatest endings ever with that comeback from Ken in the speed round. When I watched this match live in my bed, whenever Sam hits that last question, I literally jumped out of bed and it's like, what the fuck just happened? This is a division that I don't overly care for in general, but this is the two greatest minds pulling deep cuts back and forth.
10 seconds.
And coming it down to the last question. Is one of the greatest endings to a Schmoebates match.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So how do you feel about that?
Feel good?
All right. Well, moving on to Spence, yours. Again, the question was, what is the best all-time match we've seen at a Spectacular?
All right. I'm going to crush Brooklyn here.
And you got 60 seconds on the clock at a Spectacular. That was weird. Okay. Got 60 seconds on the clock. Spence, shoot. You have 55 seconds.
Oh, it started already? Shit, okay.
I said
Let me paint you a
yes.
picture. Imagine the greatest division there ever was, the team's division, having the greatest team of all time, and a challenger. You have Shirewolves versus Who's the Boss? And yes, sure, we're not a big fan of Bateman now because he's a traitor and he left us, whatever. But you have Shirewolves who were on an incredible, let's say not an incredible run. People were doubting them. People were saying, oh, the paper champions won't last long. And you have Who's the Boss come in, their first real challenger since Team Action, who Bateman was also on. And you know what happens? They crushed in the greatest entrance of all time. One of their best performances, maybe even their best performance, and their character work and the post interviews, everything just showed that Shirewolves were here to stay, and that's what makes this special. Not the match itself or the personalities at hand, even though that was incredible.
10 seconds.
It was the impact for the future of the Schmoedown and everything, including the inspiration that these two women are to everyone involved in
3,
the internet movie space.
2, 1, and done. All right. I'm excited. That was like, okay, we have two very different approaches here. Also, something. Oh, I'm sorry.
I said, yeah.
Well, thank you. Oh, yeah, for sure. But I mean, Brooklyn, I'm not gonna lie. Going into this, I personally am not a Star Wars. I'm not a Star Wars fan. However, I remember watching this and being pretty excited. So I'm excited to see your argument for this, especially with Star Wars not being as a consistent year-round kind of category, league specifically. And Spence, some more iconic, teams that we've had, in a while, but also, it's not as referred to as much. So we have two very different approaches. So I'm excited to see how you guys do in the debates. Lucas, what are you excited to hear in the debate?
I just kind of want to dig into this a little bit more. I mean, I was kind of excited for this question because Spectacular kind of lends itself to these big, cool matches, and both of you guys picked stuff that shakes up the leagues they're involved in some way or another. In some ways, shake up the entire nature of the Schmoedown. And I got to say, both of these matches were exciting to watch, and I just want to hear a little bit more. Just a little bit.
My golly, I hope so. All right, you got 4 minutes. And we're ready and go.
So here's the first that you have, Brooklyn. Your match is really just sort of a sham. It's in a format that not only it just creates a boring match because it's the same thing over and over with no back and forth, no different pattern. It was made just because Sam Witwer doesn't know how to play the game. They had to make this match in Sam's favor because they knew that he couldn't win a match against Ken because he simply can't play in a regular match. This thing was entirely created just to make Sam have a chance at winning, and yes, he won in the end. But it doesn't change the fact that the match lost a lot of its weight because it was sort of just made to make it fair, which is not really how the game is played.
Yes, because by different patterns, you mean Sam having an almost insurpassable lead, and then Ken Knapsack coming back in the speed round to tie things up. Yeah, that's a recognizable pattern. That's a common pattern. That's where you're incorrect, sir. Shire Wolves.
No, what I'm saying is the round format. Round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, or 5. Doesn't have it.
Shire Wolves versus Who's the Boss. First of all, not even the greatest Shire Wolves match. Shire Wolves versus Odd Couple 2 takes surpasses that exponentially. Not even the greatest teams match. Yes, Shire Wolves have probably like one of the greatest entrances ever, but that's essentially a game of catch up for who's the boss. They only ever tie or have a 1-point lead. The biggest lead that they ever have is a 3-point lead, and that's coming onto the last question. And those point variances can be inflated with those 5-point questions coming onto the end. Honestly, the answer that you should have picked for teams match is Patriots versus above the line. You have a greater story with Sam Levine winning not only the singles and the teams tournament, but his rise up and to crush the insurmountable wall that was the Patriots at the time.
That's honestly exactly false, because having that tighter game is actually more interesting than having Sam just having an astronomical lead and then Ken's having to slowly work his way back up and then even just lose in the end. And also, you're ignoring the fact that they have great promos. You have Ben having a history with Clark because he's never been able to beat her despite 3 or 4 matches against her. You have Riley and Clark being former teammates. You have Ben and the Shire Wolves after Team Action lost to them earlier in the season. There's so much drama going into it. And again, you have the backstory of the Shire Wolves not being considered a real team or a dangerous team. That's what makes it inspiring, is the Shire Wolves fighting against all odds of both the fans and the community and even the game itself, trying to get that first real win, and them dominating the game with one of the highest scoring matches we've ever seen, and possibly tying the all-time team points record. They both had perfect round 2s, and they missed the round 3 betting question to make it an even game. And that's what's interesting about it. It's always back and forth, rather than just trying to have someone slowly catch up.
So you contradicted yourself there not once but twice. You literally praised why the movie guys would thrive at a live event, because everybody loves a comeback. And what did Ken do in the Star Wars Iron Man match? He came back. Shire Wolves are not the underdogs. They're not the underdogs in this match against Who's the Boss. They are the champion. They are the favorites. Sure, the hardcore fanboys of the community really gave them an unnecessary amount of shit. But there's no one with the exception of the Matthew Kern's fanboy-esque levels of Mark Riley and Ben Bateman, who really thought that Who's the Boss had this hand over fist.
Look back to Facebook at the time. Everyone was saying Shire Wolves would lose every match they went into because the fans were against them. Who were
the most vocal of those people? It was the douchey hardcore fanboys that just wanted the Shire Wolves to lose because they're fucking ridiculous people.
2, 1, and done. Whew, that was a mental workout, man. I feel like I just hit the gym for my brain. There you go. Man,
I hate that Christian.
All right. I mean, that was pretty fantastic. Oh my gosh. Lucas, what do you think? I know I should probably just yell at you from the other room, but still, what do you think? That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was really good. I liked a lot of bouncing back and forth there. I actually did like the callback to the previous argument, but Spence really kind of trying to hit on the fact that just how close that game was with the Shire Wolves versus Who's the Boss, and then Brooklyn talking about kind of the drama and the build-up and everything that went into that Star Wars match. And Spence at the beginning was kind of trying to cut in and kind of talk about his issues and some of the general issues that people have had with the way that Star Wars match was put together. Mm-hmm. And I've heard more. I like it. I like where both of you guys are going.
For sure. It was, I mean, I feel like this debate was definitely a lot more, I don't want to say efficient, but I mean, it it was just constantly back and forth the entire time. I couldn't really put it in anyone's particular favor. Brooklyn, you really kind of focused on, it's definitely one of the first Iron Man matches that we've seen, and there was a lot of drama. It's a match that your heart racing the entire time between these two Star Wars characters. But also, you kind of mentioned, there's a lot of drama within the match itself. It's one of the more referenced matches as well. We have some people in the chat mentioning it's one of their favorite matches, period, throughout Schmoedown. So I was kind of curious to see how you that. Now, Spence, you really focus on specifically that because this was one of the biggest matches we've seen ever. Shirewolves, arguably one of the greatest teams we've ever seen against Who's the Boss, arguably also one of the greatest teams we've ever had. Recently, but it was a completely different type of match where there was so much buildup and drama going behind the scenes, and it was a championship match, so it's really, you can't compare the two. But also, I thought it was really interesting how you really kind of focused on, hey, even though it was a Star Wars match, it's more of a fanboy match. We don't talk about Star Wars or anything as often as like singles or teams, which is definitely one of the most well-known leagues we have in Schmoedown and general teams. So, again, mental workout. I'm all for it. Okay, now before you guys go vote again, please, I want you to hang out and listen to the closing statements. And let's see what we got. And then we'll see whether or not Spence or Brooklyn has this match or if we need a tiebreaker. So let's do it. Okay, so Brooklyn, again, we're going to start with you for this one. You have 60 seconds on the clock. Let me just line it up real quick. For your closing statements, 60 seconds starting now.
This match is essentially what the archetype of what the Schmoedown is, and essentially what Inner Geekdom is moving forward. It's more so about those massive pulls, those massive deep cuts, and you would see that in Inner Geekdom, you see that in the fan leagues, and you see that's how the league progresses, and this is where it starts with the Star Wars Iron Man match. My opponent throughout the freeform contradicted himself, saying that nobody likes a comeback story, yet in the previous question, he successfully won an argument based on a team winning because of a comeback. Shirewolves did not. This is not even the best Shirewolves match. This is not the best teams match. He is trying to sell you on false points that Shirewolves are somehow the underdogs, yet they are the champion. He is clearly just listening to the hardcore fanboys of this. When you look at Ken Knapsack and Sam Witwer, two juggernauts of Star Wars, going back and forth, the scales tipping in every which way, and again, the greatest ending of any day.
Some new arguments. All right. Okay, Spence. Let's see what you got. You got 60 seconds on the clock, starting now.
The issue with your match, once again, is the format. This is this is not the Schmoedown. This is people you can ask questions in the corner, and that's it. What my match is what the Schmoedown is. It is entrances. It is personalities. It is people selling you a game and a story. Your match does not have that. It is two nerds who, while they know their stuff, that anyone can ask these questions. What my match has over yours is everything. Everything goes into it. Everyone is giving their 100% A game. And the champions are the underdogs. Look at Roka. Look at Oyama. No one bets the money on them. No one thinks they're going to win. And they always get a comeback story because that's what this is, a story. Yours is not a story. It's people answering questions and they go into a match. That's not what the Schmoedown is, Brooklyn. We have so much more going into it. We have a world we need to build. And Knapsack and Witwer, as great as competitors as they are, don't offer that. Yours is a match. Mine is an event. That's what Spectacular is, an event. I take the main spotlight.
3,
yours is a small note.
1, and done. Done. Deep breath, guys. Deep breath. How are you feeling, Brooklyn?
Oh, I'm feeling great. Yeah. No, this is standard debate form. This is not even close to full tilt.
Perfect. Well, I'm excited to see what we get in the polls today. And Spence, how are you kind of feeling walking away from your argument?
I feel sick trying to argue against that match.
All right. Well, regardless. Okay. So now everyone, I know a handful of you guys just joined us, but please, after what you just heard, we want you to kind of put personal biases aside. Please hear those arguments and everything and make your best judgment. Don't like go for like, well, this is my favorite match or whatever may be. This is my favorite league or nah, or whatever may be. Please use the arguments as far as who you think deserves to win this debate for the second question. Okay, now I'm going to be including right now a link to the Facebook page. Sorry, it took me a minute. And like I mentioned, you can complete it there. And we're going to give it a few minutes specifically for you guys to vote. And so to determine whether or not we need a tiebreaker question. We have one ready just in case. And Spence and Brooklyn already know what it is if we need to make the decision. Okay. Now, in the meantime, we're just going to go, while you guys, please feel free to just go check those out and definitely go vote like right now. Then come back and hang out with us. Let's go and hang out with some of the people that are commenting. Kyle, look at Spence coming out with some clutch koi speed for a killer closing. Wham. Okay, and yes, I'm sorry, Oliviera. I wish we did. That would be pretty dope. I don't know how to do that, so maybe one day. All right. Okay. Also, I want to punch Spence. That match was all story.
This is a debate. These are not my opinion. It's how I win an argument. Very different things.
For sure. Well, specifically, I know you guys have like went along to this. How did you guys feel kind of leading up to this match? Did you guys do a lot of preparation and everything before?
I did a little bit. Essentially, what I do for every debate, like I try not to underestimate competitors. But whenever I do that, I find I play poorly. What I often do is I'll take the answers that both myself and James have given, and then I weigh the pros, I weigh the cons. Like, well, what is he going to present with me? What am I going to attack with him, and how is he going to rebut? Essentially, what I want to do is I want to try and be one step ahead of him.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you're pretty used to like doing a lot of research and everything, obviously. Lucas, I know you're pretty logical. You're very analytical minded going into I feel like you are, at least significantly more than me. But I mean, how did you kind of feel like listening to these going into it? You're definitely like, you have a fresher mind kind of going into some of these matches than we are.
Oh, yeah. Considering I saw both of these matches in the last month for the first time. Yeah, it was tight, especially in the argument phase of this debate. That 4-minute period, that was a tight kind of back and forth, and I could have gone either way. But I think what these closing arguments very one of them swayed me more than the other. And are we giving our votes yet, or are we just kind of talking about their positions?
Honestly, we can give our votes, but again, our personal votes don't really count, don't really apply. It's only if you voted in the Facebook group that counts.
Yeah. Go vote on Facebook. I'm used to being told my opinion doesn't matter. It's fine. But
That is true. To be fair, he roots for Bateman. His opinion doesn't matter.
Yes. Please watch our reaction, by the way. That was posted earlier today. It was magic.
I'll root for whatever makes Alex mad. But
wait, speaking of, let's just do Team Guy versus Team Bateman. Let's see how that goes.
Lucas was very logical, marrying Alex.
Yeah. But yeah, it was what got me in the end, I think, was the claim that there is no story in that Star Wars match. Because man, that had a great promo and a great story. And it has an element that I like a lot in all of Schmoedown is I do like the stories that go into the matches, and I like that build up to them and all the great work that what's his name, Eric, with the promos.
Yeah, Eric.
Eric Rodriguez.
I love Eric.
Yeah. I love all that stuff, and that's what got me hooked into Schmoedown initially. Is some of those promos getting me into that Kalinowski Spence match, but the emergent story that comes out in the middle of the actual gameplay is, I think, what I like the most, and Star Wars had that for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. I mean, there was definitely like after like rewatching some of these matches with you, it definitely kind of brought to light a lot of the older storylines and characters, and some things. I was surprised you didn't really touch up on. In particular, Brooklyn. I was surprised you didn't touch up on the celebrity factor. As well. Where I mean, he's definitely celebrity within the inner geekdom world, obviously. So even if you're not into Schmoedown or anything in particular, there's a lot of people around the world that are interested in Star Wars that really like this match in particular, just because they're like, it's Whitwer, we want more. Also, I mean, specifically,
Well,
I was a little surprised specifically. Didn't really go into specifics about the drama in particular, because I know, like you said, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen it. I would have loved to hear a little bit more talking about the build-up in particular. So,
I mean, I could go into about how I had the longest thread in MTS about how the Shire Wolf, or about whole argument about the Shire Wolves thing. That's a whole different story.
well, too bad it wasn't in the debate.
Oh, you don't want that in a debate. It was a shitstorm.
Well, I mean, that's something to keep in mind in the future. If you're coming to debate, you can use fan interactions. You can use the Facebook groups, and how a lot of these matches created new legions of fans and created a lot of new fan groups and things like that, and a lot more dedication towards a lot of these niche groups and teams and everything. So it's pretty fun. Okay, now just to kind of touch again on some of the comments, and then we're gonna go check out Facebook and see how it looks.
And to be clear, there's absolutely nothing. There's no bias.
Alternatively, none.
No, we're a neutral party. Yeah, I'm on camera, Brandon. I've always been. I've been a host on C2A for like the last 6 years.
All right, as long as he supported about the lack of story, for sure. And okay, Dwayne said specifically, I think you were conveniently forgetting about the history in particular. Danny says that this one's a lot closer, and I'm really on the fence. And I'm sure there's a bunch of people across the board. Garth Smith, speaking of Whitwer, I like watching him live on Twitch. I didn't know he had a Twitch.
Everyone is Twitch now. Damn.
Yeah, I actually logged on to watch because I saw a post about what he streams on Twitch. So I logged on to Twitch to see him stream, and he was streaming Battlefront 2. So
I bet he's playing Jedi Fallen Order. Like, oh look, there's me.
I was actually expecting Fallen Order, but no, it's just Battlefront.
Okay, I am pulling up the matches right now.
Is there a way for us to check the votes without voting ourselves? I guess we can vote and then rescind our vote.
You can hover over the amount of votes total, and you should see who voted where.
Yes, I am looking at the votes right now, and the first question being, what current team that has not been in a live event would you give? What do you think would give the best live performance at a live show? And the votes are in. It is 13-4 in favor of the movie guys. Congratulations. Good job there.
Let's go, Paul Preston.
Okay, and now we're going to move on to the next question. Now, with a total of 11 points, a little bit closer. Okay, and it is in favor of 7-4 Knapsack versus Whitwer. So we are currently 1-1.
I need 4 votes. Come on, guys. 4 votes. 4. Come on.
We're done with the votes. If you voted in the last 2 seconds, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because now it's time to really go into our tiebreaker question.
It's true. If you haven't voted yet, your opinion matters as much as mine.
For our third question, and holy shit, this question, Lucas, you just hopped on the Facebook groups. You know this is a pretty hot topic going on right now. I know Christian, he tweeted this question not too long ago, right?
Yeah, I think he actually put a couple polls out, and then he's talked about it on SEN a few times, which I saw them in the chat earlier.
Now, if you don't follow a Schmoedown Entertainment Network, or you don't follow Christian or the groups at all, the big question we're referring to is this. We're going to hear Spence and Brooklyn debate right now. And the question is, for Schmoedown Spectacular 2019, should the headline be the Singles Championship or the Inner Geekdom Championship? With me. Holy fucking shit. Okay. Now, both competitors, Spence and Brooklyn, they have been told to not pick one in particular. They have to be prepared. Oh, there you go. Actually, I have both. Wait. They have to be prepared to argue either one of them, depending on which one. Okay, Spence, do you choose Guy or Bateman?
Come on.
I need to hear a verbal confirmation.
My guy.
Of course. Okay, so if it lands on Guy, that means it has to be Brooklyn is going to have to choose. Sorry. What was that thing earlier? If it lands on Guy face upward, then Brooklyn will have to, let's say Brooklyn is going to have to choose the ladder, and Spence is going to be choosing gets first dibs, essentially. Make sense? Not make sense? Yay? Nay? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to just go ahead and do it. It is you, Guy.
Oh,
Yes.
big surprise.
Second. Give me that
Would you like to flip it for next time?
give me that Mikey 3 belts.
Okay. Oh, traitor. Okay, so Spence, you get first dibs on this one. Do you choose?
That's what I'm saying. I want Mike Kalinowski, Kevin Smets, Inner Geekdom title, final event.
Okay, for Schmoedown Spectacular 2019, should the headline be Singles Championship or the Inner Geekdom? So you're choosing Inner Geekdom?
Yeah.
And Brooklyn, by extension, you get Singles Championship.
Yep.
Mm.
The anticipation is building. Let's do this. Okay.
I can run the timer this time.
Okay.
Well, I say that, but
Okay. Again, same format as before. You'll have 60 seconds for your opening statement, and 60 seconds on the opening statement, 4 minutes again for the debate itself, and then 60 seconds again for the closing statement. So let's jump to it. Spence, you chose technically, so you have to make your first argument.
All right.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
all right. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
You know what makes a compelling event? Story. And you know what the biggest story out there is? Revenge. Talk about Kevin Smets, who was screwed over in his last match because he flubbed on a single word, and then Mike Kalinowski went and took the title from Rachel Cushing. And look at Mike Kalinowski, who has been driven #Mikey 3 belts all year. And he loses the single shot by a flub. He loses the team titles after just a bad show up and a bad wheel spin. Everyone has so much going into this match, and you care about this. You want to see both of them win because they both have so much going into this. They're both incredible players. They both put on incredible shows, and we saw from San Diego they can both lead live events. And you know what leading means? Being the final event. You don't want to have someone walk in and just leave halfway through because they stop caring. People want to stick around for this. The Dungeon is a massive fan base. Corruption is a massive fan base. Mike Kalinowski has very rabid fans. Kevin Smith has very rabid fans. Both sides are so equally powerful. How do you not want to see them go head to head in the final big name event?
All right.
All right. All right, let's do this. Okay. Brooklyn, you have 60 seconds on the clock, arguing in favor of singles being the headline for the Spectacular 2019. And 60 seconds starting now. Oh, maybe not. Never mind.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
It only makes sense that the one of the first matches, Ben Bateman versus William Bibiani, having that match lead into the finale of the match totally makes sense. Schmoedown is based off of that wrestling aspect, and you want to have that setup match lead into the closing match. You look at WrestleMania 30. Daniel Bryan taking on Triple H where he would eventually close out the night and be the winner. Paul Yama has become one of the more divisive characters, and divisiveness causes terror, and terror causes views. And it might be bad publicity, but bad publicity is ultimately good publicity in general. Paul is a person that is adored by the family community and Multiplex and Full Metal. I have known him for about 2 years, but for some reason the Schmoedown, the upper echelons, seem to hate them. So there are people who are rooting for the champion and are rooting against the champion, and it's that divisiveness that will sell this as the finale.
Okay.
It's really hard to write notes and run the timer.
Indeed, it is.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel.
That was intense. Okay,
I got a 20-second.
Are you holding your breath? I'm holding my breath a little bit.
No, I practice yoga. I'm very aware of my breath at all times.
I'm not, because breathing is for suckers, apparently. Okay, so we're gonna go into our debate itself. I mean, some things I really kind of was curious about. You really talk about the personal character histories, like you mentioned, Brooklyn singles, the history of Yama, how it kind of leads up to new live matches and everything as well. Spence really kind of focused on the aspect of story, and fan bases, as well as the character history considering their previous match. Okay. All right, you got 4 minutes on the clock for your actual debate. And everyone?
And we are starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right,
just because
so
the family's
let's start
like
off
called
with
doesn't mean he's going to lead events. You have your entire title card basically are people who have very active non-fans. Paul got very little reception in New York the second time around. Ben Bateman has a passionate fan of Boo, where most people just don't like him. Also, he shaved his beard, so the hashtag beard till belt, you're losing the social media reaction, you're losing the people who are driving it. It's just not interesting anymore. And Bibiani, who has had tons and tons of title matches, another one is just whatever. Cool. There's no drive behind it. Mine are 2 people who are fighting for these belts, fighting for these titles. It means so much to them that you're on the journey with them. All 3 of your people don't care to see them win. They just want a match to happen, not the people to win it.
So 3 things. 1, where is the strategy in your match? This is ultimately two incredible competitors with no glaring weaknesses. There is no strategy. There is no strategy of the wheel. Every category that they have is essentially top tier, with 2 of them being the clean sweep categories. You look at Paul Yama, William Bibiani, and Ben Bateman, people who have all headlined live events. And you look at, like you mentioned previously, Corruption and Dungeon Army have these big groups. Those groups kind of intermingle. People who are asking questions for Corruption to help study for Mike Kalinowski are those same people who are also studying and help prepare questions for Kevin. With Paul Yama in particular, there is a very strict line as to people who adore him, the fan leagues, the community, and the people who hate him. The people who are more so Schmoedown-esque and a lot of Schmoedown personalities have come out against him. With Bibiani and Bateman as the setup match is essentially a best of both worlds. Ben is slowly starting to turn face, and he can really work. We can really work off of that Paul vibe. And Bibiani is honestly probably the greatest face in terms of bouncing off of a heel. He does essentially the Brick Tamlin thing and just sort of plays it off as sort of dumb, but it works incredibly well. When you have
here's your issue though. Can I
finish?
Sorry.
Can I finish what I'm gonna say?
Yep, go ahead, sorry.
Debating is really a pendulum back and forth, and clearly you do not understand that concept. Kevin versus Mike is essentially what you were complaining against in my previous match of Ken versus Sam. It's just a bunch of nerds. There isn't a lot of strategy to it. It's essentially them spinning the wheel. They're like, oh, this is a category that I've already.
People who are passionate and know what they're talking about, being these brick walls going head to head against each other. The only reason that Smets lost the last match and didn't go into like quintillion round sudden death is because he flubbed. And that's all it was. So seeing these unstoppable force be immovable object, that's what's interesting. People who hate him probably have the same number. so much of the fan base of these 10, 50, 100,000 people just don't care. That's the issue you have in your event. Oyama is leading it. He's defending his title, and people just simply don't care about him. This isn't this idea of like love and hate, which is what drives Smets and Kalinowski. People do not care about Oyama. People have stopped caring about Bibiani. People have stopped caring about Bateman. That's the issue in yours. It's not a love or hate thing that's driving the title of the event. It's people who are just apathetic to the whole experience.
Yeah, because people don't care about Bibiani, yet he's part of Shazam, one of the greatest up and coming rising teams. Oyama, part of the
And
Dungeons.
done. That was fantastic, guys. That was like, holy shit. That was really good. Spence, Brooklyn, how do you feel?
Feel
I
great?
love how being polite got me lambasted in the comments.
What about you, Brooklyn? How are you feeling?
I feel great. Feel good.
Okay. All right. So just kind of review some of the comments real quickly before had to let Lucas and I kind of collect our thoughts a little bit. Just some things we're kind of reading in the chat a little bit. I think Brooklyn's got this for silencing Spence. Whammy.
I'm going to see you in 2 days, Ryan.
Just to be clear, Spence,
Brooklyn.
no matter what you did, you're going to be lambasted in the chat.
That's a good point.
That's a fact, very fact. Let's say some other things specifically is that, movie fights, you just break in there, Spence, that's what it is. Get an ice pack for that sick bird. Whammy. Okay. So Eric is something he's saying is that I would like to cheer Ben on, but not till after the horsemen fall apart. Ooh. All right. Damn. Whammy. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go into our closing statements. Lucas, what were your kind of big takeaway thoughts that you kind of want Spence and Brooklyn to really address ideally in their closing statements?
That's a good question.
Would you like me to start?
Yeah.
We had two very different approaches to this. Something I kind of thought you're really kind of counteracting each other. Specifically, is this idea of fan bases. Now, Brooklyn, you're really talking about fan bases behind, or his fan base, or even lack of fan base. Specifically, with this idea of the drama going on behind the scenes, that he's liked, he's not liked, depending on which group you're in. Sure, you can apply that towards a lot of individual competitors, but this one in particular, it's kind of an unusual situation. Especially coming from the family.
Very unusual.
Exactly. It's a very specific situation that we have not seen before. And it's kind of driving this real drama that we haven't really had before specifically. Now, Spence really is kind of going against this idea that, it's kind of going in very different directions, where it's much more character driven, a lot of more story driven. But at the same time, you're getting a lot of more genuine reactions. Not to say obviously Oyama is not genuine when he performs, obviously, but it's like different in reaction, how fans really react to that. That's that kind of character as well. But also the broader fan bases, like you said, IG is maybe hypothetically just a bunch of nerds. It's much more focused and much more niche versus general movie trivia fans. Also, this idea that, live matches, and their focus really needs to set up the next live match, very similar to WWE, versus Spence, really kind of focus on this idea that, they're really kind of going into this specifically because their previous, why their argument is here is because their previous match had everyone on the edge of their seats, holding their breath for sure. Okay. Now, I'm sorry, I've been monologuing.
You just need another point to argue.
There's a lot going on, and I just really want you guys to solidify.
Oh, yeah, I had all of those same things written down. You took every single point I was going to say. So,
okay, now everyone, I know it's very tempting to kind of dive into the voting thing right now, but please don't. Please wait until after the closing statements to make your official vote and kind of make your opinions known. Okay, so
I know you did that. Wait, no, it's Denuzio. Dark Shadow, come fight me. I will see you in 2 days. 2 days.
Okay. All right. Okay. We're going to go into the closing statements. And then you got 60 seconds on the clock. Lucas, are you ready?
In 3, 2, 1, go.
We're talking about leading an event. The next one is going to be the header of the New York 3 live event. This is already so important going into this, as well as, again, we have proven history these people can lead events. Kalinowski destroyed San Diego, and he destroyed Orlando. Smets destroyed the undercard in Orlando, which never happened. Undercard normally isn't even that big of a thing. But also, let's look at just the singles title defenses. Most of them, 90% of them, are underwhelming. People get exhausted. It happened before with Harloff against Levine. Ben and Bibbs are going to have to play the whole event, and they're going to be exhausted afterwards. Kalinowski and Smets, they're fresh. You're going to get a better match. Go back and forth. Again, fan bases, big personalities leading a massive sold-out stadium. That is what makes this interesting. Yours does not have that. Oyama does not have that fan base behind him. No one's cheering for him. Bateman has lost his supporters. Bibiani doesn't really have anything going on right now. Nothing is going on for your singles league. It's dying. It's slow. Intergeekdom is rising. It's there, and it's strong.
Need to learn how to count with my fingers while I'm watching other things. But, all right.
All right. Okay, Brooklyn, you're going to need your closing statement with 60 seconds. And Lucas, are you ready?
Yes, I am. 3,
And 60 seconds on the clock.
3, 2, 1, go.
When you have exhausted competitors going into a match, very similar to a UFC fight. In those late rounds, you're going to see haymakers. You're going to see those shootouts. You're going to see that brawl. Very similar to wrestling. You never end on your technical match. Ricky the Steamboat Dragon and Macho Man Randy Savage didn't close out WrestleMania. That was the technical match. That was really like, oh, that's kind of cool, but that isn't all the brawl that we would get with Bibbs and Oyama or Bateman and Oyama. You would have one conversation point with Kalinowski versus Smets. You look at their last match, that whole conversation point was him missing it. Whereas with Oyama, with his divisiveness, you get a more balanced conversation, and honestly a match that grows the league because you have so many different aspects going into it, so many different feelings. When ultimately Kalinowski versus Smets, they're ultimately rooting for the same thing. Whereas with Oyama versus Bateman or Bibbs, you have two opposing sides creating a greater conversation.
Oh, sure.
Also, great debating you, James. It's the first time.
Thank you. Yeah. No, dude, you're a legend in my mind in debating. I was so scared coming into this.
I call myself the Daniel Cormier of debates. I've won everything with the exception of 2 losses, and that is to Cody Dewberry. So Cody Dewberry is my John Jones for those MMA fans out there.
Yeah, you bring in sports, my brain just shuts off. I stopped listening.
I mean, you kind of have to be able to receive some wrestling. Like I don't follow wrestling, but in Schmoedown, in this sphere, you gotta be able to absorb a little.
A wee bit.
The only good sport are the fictional ones.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and include a link in the chat again real quickly. And again, I know we're going to be working on trying to find new ways to improve this and this voting process, but I'm going to include the link right here. Please click on over and make your vote known. Who do you think, based on the debates, arguments, and everything, deserves to win this match today? And this, especially with this tiebreaker, do you think it was with Spence with IG and our Geekdom, or do you think it was Brooklyn with a singles championship match? What do you think? Please vote there in that link I just updated. And while we kind of let some people head on over and vote, we're just gonna go and hang out and see what people think in the chats. Good wrestling references, Brooklyn. Thanks, Ryan. Yeah. He's pretty fantastic. I love having him on. He's wonderful. Okay. Say Brooklyn is slow and concise. Very impressive. We love Kyle. Kyle's pretty fantastic.
Kyle's great.
Okay. UFC references for sure. Okay. And Garth is saying, I think Brooklyn wins this one, but James gets the best hair award.
Story checks out of that.
Priority.
And y'all get to see this in 2 days. 2 days. Ah.
And Paul mentions, wait till we meet in person, James. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. But also, Dana's kind of mentioning James is such an awesome sport. Yeah, no joke.
I would like to point out that Paul's message had a winky face and a tongue. It seemed ominous. I don't know. I'd stay away from that one.
Yeah, no, Paul
And
was-
again, everyone vote. Kelsey, my homegirl.
Yes.
Man, I love Kelsey, my boo. She voted. Everyone else, please head on over there and vote. We're gonna let it go for like another minute or two before we make the final. Before we find out who wins.
Actually, you know what? This might be a good time. So, James, you're going to be at the spectacular event.
Yes.
You're aware of a certain curse, correct?
What curse?
The curse.
The Horseman curse is the only one I know.
No. We have to go down to the fan leagues. Have you ever played it? Yes, that curse.
All right.
Yeah, I think you should make a sign about that curse. Because honestly, that curse should be brought into the Schmoedown.
Brooklyn, slide to my DMs and remind me of it because I'm still pretty new to all this. I am going to buy a sign tomorrow.
Nice.
I just like how you said it. Just please slide into my DMs and we can chat about it.
I'll go to your.
Don't worry.
I'll go to your Pixo page.
All right. Well, we have a lot of
Everybody
people that voted, specifically Suge. I think, am I not pronouncing right? Suge?
Suge Knight, like
Knight?
the killer.
I don't know what that means.
Suge Knight was the guy that supposedly killed Big E or two.
I think it was Easy.
No, it was either Tupac or Biggie. I can't remember which one.
Hey, Kevin. I just chatted with him earlier today. What's up, Kevin? I just auditioned him for the holiday exhibition match. And that's going to come up here in a few weeks with Alonso Duralda. So that's going to be amazing. Okay. So, a lot of people are voting in here. Sue just kind of mentioned he voted. Garth says he voted. Brian, heck yeah, he voted. I'm all for all these votes coming up, guys. Thank you so much. And let me just go ahead and check it and review it right now so we can see who won this match.
Suge Knight killed Tupac while we wait for the results.
He did kill Tupac.
Okay. All right.
Meanwhile, over here we got X-Pac.
Guys, the votes are in. The
I
votes
lost in the joke alone.
are in, guys. Okay. The winner of today's match. What the fuck are you doing?
It's called being polite. It's a Canadian sportsmanship thing. You always think like a person.
I've had the fact that I'm an asshole.
The winner of tonight's match is you, the viewer.
The real winner are the friends we made along the way.
The winner of tonight's match is Brooklyn Vale.
Yeah.
Black Lantern himself. Congratulations. Okay, now we determined that because in your final debate, it was actually singles versus IG, and singles won against IG, with singles being 9 versus IG having 4. So
Congrats.
It was really great. But yeah, Brooklyn, you won 2 out of the 3 matches, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
And, we have some people saying that you won as well, congratulating you.
If y'all want to see Brooklyn be an absolute monster, please check out every single debate league possible. He is, again, with the exception of Cody Newberry, probably the greatest debater there is. Like, the fact that I got a point is pretty incredible, let alone getting a chance in anything. He's amazing.
It's all good. All right, fantastic. Now, we're going to go ahead and just trying to chat with you, Brooklyn, over how you're kind of feeling going into this. I mean, now you're leaving. Did you feel like it was a extremely, I don't want to say difficult match, but I mean, do you feel like there was a lot of new points you had really had to think on your feet, or?
I knew it was going to be a little bit of an uphill battle going into it. I haven't been able to watch the Schmoedown as much as I had done years previously. I've really sort of I've really taken my time and really devoted them into the family community and really building those up. I do a lot of work with like multiplex. I used to do a lot with Take 3, and I delve into full metal from time to time. But I'm always down to debate. Like I always try to prepare it like I said the same way. I know James has a little bit of experience with TMG and their debate leagues and whatnot. So I knew that he was going to give me a match. But I would if you want to have me back, I would love to be back. I always love debating. And yeah, if you guys want to see other debates, like Nerdgasm is great on Multiplex. Jukebox Dance Off. If you guys are music debaters, Danny Cost has actually competed in Jukebox Dance Off and has done quite well. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely clearly you're no stranger to debating and, really kind of like thinking on your feet when it comes to like putting together these arguments for sure. Lucas, do you have any questions for Brooklyn?
Well, no, not, well, don't laugh at me. Hey, you caught me off guard here. Anyway, I was just going to say, kind of going back to the debate, I seen a comment that Dwayne put out there in the chat. I was as surprised as he was that neither one of you kind of talked about the idea that, which is what ended the debate on Facebook, or ended the poll on Facebook, and what was talked about on SEN, which was that the singles belt is the belt. They kind of have this established as that is the thing to work for. And I was surprised that point didn't come up. I'm kind of happy it didn't, because it meant we got to explore different angles of the argument and meant we got to get into it a little bit more. Because if you just say the belt, it kind of shuts down the conversation. So I was surprised it was missing, but I'm happy it was.
Well, then there's the argument of just like, do we need the singles belt to be the belt? Why not repurpose it into something else or remove the idea of the belt? Like, it's a good discussion to have, though.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, specifically, just kind of hopping over to you. I mean, how do you feel? I mean, you're no stranger to participating in, different tournaments and reacting and all this good stuff. I mean, this was your first time actually debating with us, part of the team crew. How'd it feel? Being part of this voting process and everything. In
your format, it's very interesting because then I need to shut up. And even outside of when Brooklyn just put me in the corner, when you're talking in between each segment of it, I'm like, oh my God, I have the fire going in me. And then it slowly goes back down, which I think is the only reason I stood a chance today, is because you forced me to shut up for a while. And it caused me to like calm down, focus on my arguments, prepare a more thorough argument.
Well, I mean, that's what this is all about. It's very concentrated. It's very hyper-focused specifically. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and wrap things up, but we do have a announcement from our very own Brian Fernandez specifically. He has a pretty amazing announcement he wants to make for us that, he actually, he did something pretty amazing. He actually created an entire song specifically for Call to Action. I'm actually going to include it here in the chat. Specifically, please check it out. Read it. Not read it. Sorry, listen to it. It's amazing. Brian is so amazingly fantastic.
You meant read it emotionally.
What?
Don't worry about it.
You are so weird. It's called, the title of the song is called Baby Just Hold On. So please give it a listen. It's on SoundCloud. I just included the link right there. And thank you so much, Brian. We're going to try to include it here pretty soon.
So the poll itself is actually a lot closer than it was before, which is very interesting.
I know, it's too fucking bad they didn't vote sooner.
As my great grandfather used to say, wish in one hand, shit in the other. See which one fills up first.
Whammy. All right, well, that's it for
Call to Action PSA. Please don't shit in your hands.
Shove it. Okay, we're going to be clocking in. It's almost at an hour and a half. So this is like, oh my gosh, it's way past my bedtime. So I need to go to bed. All right. So Okay, so our winner today, Brooklyn. Where can we find you specifically?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the real BK10, the number, not the word. You can find me on Multiplex Entertainment, running Nerdgasm with Cody Newberry, just being a host in general there. On Take 3, doing jukebox trivia. We're right now in our dance-off portion, which is music debate, and you can just find me in the family community in general. Be sure to join Multiplex Entertainment on Facebook as well as Full Metal Media. They do great stuff as well. Take 3. That community in general is just a great one, and I've made some lifelong friends, and I feel like everybody who isn't already there should be a part of it.
Well, it sounds like, all around, like you mentioned, you're pretty involved with a whole bunch of stuff. So it's inevitable, some people come across your way again. And Spence, where can we find you to see what's going on with your life?
You can follow me on Twitter at TemEQ Film Nerd, is at TEMEKU Film Nerd. Also, I'll be sure to have more announcements, more thorough next year when I have 2 shows on my college radio, where I have a cooking show and I have my own movie trivia show. Also, I want to issue a formal apology, namely to Paulo Yama and Bibiani, not so much Ben Bateman. I am arguing a point, not opinions. I didn't mean to tear y'all apart. Y'all are great. Can't wait to watch you in 3 days.
They already unfollowed you on Twitter.
I'm already hated. I just want to make sure I'm a little less hated.
And Lucas, my babe. I mean,
Don't. I can be found in the Call to Action Green Room before and after all of their podcasts that Alex is on, and I do have a Twitter. I'll see if you message me, but I don't check it.
It's true, he doesn't. I constantly try to tag him, and it's just not working. Speaking of which, I am Alex Mack, known as Mac Daddy around here, and I host not only Schmoebates, but I do a lot of the exhibition matches. We're going to be having the holiday exhibition match here in about 2 weeks or so, right in time for Christmas. Please check in with that, and the winner of said match is going to get a signed copy of this. Have yourself a movie, Little Christmas. And it's going to be a signed copy, so it's going to be pretty great. But if you're going to be in Spectacular this weekend, Luke's and I will be there along with Spence. Please say hi.
As if y'all didn't hear me say it enough before.
There you go. We're going to be, I know, right? We never mentioned it at all. But we're going to be down in LA, so it's going to be a real big fun time. And please follow us on here on the Facebook. Please subscribe, like us, all that good stuff. And please follow us on Twitter and Facebook. I run the Twitter page. So it'd be cool if you came and hung out with us there. All right, with that, we are done. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out and voting and participating. We love you guys. We'll see you soon.